The Southern Poverty Law Center, based in Alabama, says it has known of Wade Michael Page and has been tracking him for a decade. We just told you about that a while ago.
And we now have reconnected with Mark Potok, who joins us live on the phone. Mark, tell us, if you will, what you knew about Page.
Well, basically, we've been tracking him for about 10 years. We knew that in the year 2000, he left Colorado, which is where he was born, or at least he describes it as his native state, packed up his belongings on a motorcycle, and basically made his way out into the white supremacist music scene. From that point on, he was both a lead guitarist and a vocalist in a whole number of different white supremacist bands, some of them really very well known. The best-known ones are called Max Resist, Intimidation One, another one is Blue Eyed Devils. In any event, in 2005, he started his own neo-Nazi band, something called End Apathy. And at the time, well, actually a few years later, he gave an interview to a white supremacist website in which he talked about why the name. And basically it boiled down to the feeling of, there was this kind of white supremacist movement out there, but it really wasn't doing anything, right? So his take was end apathy, right? We need to get off our rear ends and act. And so, to me at least, the name he gave his band speaks directly to what his motives were in the attack yesterday. We see an awful lot of people like this in the white supremacist world, people who feel that the leaders and the organizations aren't doing anything and who go out and act on their own, who essentially become, like this man allegedly did, a lone wolf terrorist.
Mark, is there anything that the public can do in wake of individuals like this? Of course, this is a free country, but we also know that we do need to be aware of individuals like Wade Page and then see what we might be able to do to combat it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what any of us could have done to combat this particular thing. Of course, we were aware of this character of his bands and some of the organizations he associated with. But, when these organizations say in their propaganda or sing in their music, all the Jews need to be killed, all African Americans need to be killed, or whatever it may be, that stuff is totally protected under the First Amendment. So, it is good for organizations like us to be aware of them, for police locally, law enforcement locally to be aware of them. But it's not like you can go out and arrest this guy because he says ugly things. And that's both, the burden, and in some ways the promise of the First Amendment. I mean, you just can't go out arresting people for having, terrible opinions. And the sad thing is, as I said, just not sure how law enforcement might have gotten to this guy before he started to carry out a mass murder. When people act on their own, it's almost impossible to predict something like this.
Hard to prevent, and really you can only react after a tragedy, as we have experienced up here. Mark Potok of the Southern Poverty Law Center, we thank you very kindly for your time.